to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From big TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
I tell you what, I hate as we're getting ready to come on live on the air. I'm kicking back. I am in show mode. And the next thing you know, I see a goddamn mosquito in the studio. The one thing I hate in the world is a goddamn mosquito. Because now my mind is going to be thinking about that damn mosquito. I tell you what, if I wasn't alert right now, because I was feeling pretty kind of out of it. It's just been a long day. Now I'm really, really amped up right now because of that damn mosquito. Forgive me if I am paranoid throughout the rest of this show, because I would just imagine that the people that's going to be tuning in, checking out the live web stream, or maybe check out the web stream for on demand, they're going to be like, what the hell is Lee looking around? Now you know what the hell is going on. I'll try to focus. What's up, y'all? Lee Sanders with you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in for this Monday night edition of the RCWR show for October 6, 2025. Cannot believe I am already saying October. That is just insane. What did y'all think about tonight's WWE RAW? Sound off. Let me know. We got, of course, the chat boxes open. You can also sound off. Interact on our poll right now on Twitter at the RCWR show. We also got that same poll with the same options up on youtube.com. / the RCWR show. Click on the post section. Let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping before we go any further into the show. So for those of you that may not be aware of this, so look, we know that Crown Jewel this Saturday here in the United States, it's going to be coming on at 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But wait. We found out during tonight's WWE RAW broadcast from Dallas, Texas, that next Monday's RAW is going to be coming on at a special start time, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for here in the United States. So, what does that mean for us and next Monday? I will tell you this right now. My Mondays are loaded up as it is with classes. So, sadly, during that time, I'm usually getting ready. So, I will not be doing a post show immediately after Raw goes off the air. That's silly. That is silly. Power to anybody else that wants to come on around that time on a Monday morning, to say the least, and knowing damn well you got folks at school, folks at work. Yeah. Instead, what we're going to do, we'll come on at 8 p.m. Eastern that Monday. So make sure you mark your calendars. That's going to be Monday, October 13th. Mark your calendars, 8 I was about to say 8 a.m. No, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be coming on. We'll do our usual show. We'll be in and out, all that good stuff. There's no way, no how. It's not enough. No, I am not coming on. No, forget about it. No, it's not happening. It's just not happening. Nice little solid edition of Raw tonight. We'll definitely talk about that. We'll preview Crown Jewel Perth. And we got the latest in headlines too. So you guys definitely picked a really good night to tune in and everything. Just immediate thoughts of Raw from off the break. Overall, if you are a fan of women's wrestling and you love all things women's wrestling and you happen to be that type of wrestling fan that goes, yo, can we show the women some love? This was definitely an edition of Raw that would have been right up your alley, because when it was all said and done, and you guys can correct me if I'm a little bit off on my timing and everything, but at least from what I was clocking, general ballpark, I clocked in about 50 minutes worth of time that was dedicated towards the women for this week's Raw. From segments to matches, we didn't finally get our first men's match until essentially a little bit more than half into the show and everything. Because definitely the first three matches that we got back to back to back was all women's action. So I'm not really sure, for those that watch Raw, I'm not really sure if that really kind of settled in for you guys. And if it did settle in, if it settled on a positive note, definitely would love to know what you guys had thought about that. The way it was structured tonight, was it just the right kind of balance for you? Was it a bit overkill? Definitely would love to know. But for me personally, I did not mind it whatsoever. Had a different feel to it. I would like to know who some of the bookers were involved for a lot of what we had saw with these women's segments and everything. Don't worry, guys. There was some stuff in there that we could sink our teeth into and everything. We had the return of Roman Reigns, CM Punk thrown into the mix as well. But let's show the women some love for once, right? Let's go ahead and show them some love for once. So, look, we had, of course, definitely the match of the night. I can't believe I'm saying this. I cannot believe I'm saying this. But what will definitely go down in the books, as far as I am concerned, the best match of the night for this week goes to, I wish I had a drum roll. I got to put that sound into my mixer. Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch. Now, I know, for those that didn't watch Raw, I know that's going to sound really, really WTF. Lee, what the hell are you smoking? Can I have some? Because you are obviously on another dimension right now. I wish. No, I am being totally candid with you guys. Don't believe me? Make your rounds on social media and you will see with your own two eyes. That was definitely the match, but more importantly, quite the showing from Maxine Dupree. I gotta tell you, I'm really appreciating and liking this stage of Becky Lynch and where she's at in her career right now. As you heard her talk about it time and time again over the past several months, but she really does mean it when she says, "Look, I am interested in trying to do everything in my power to use my position, use my rep and everything to help elevate the other girls." And I tell you what, I know that from what we've been talking about here on the show over the past several months, there's been a lot more people being vocal for women like Maxine Dupree, B Fab. Yo, let them get more in-ring opportunities. Hey, they're deserving. And I tell you what, I know some people might be verdict. Is that a terminology? I think that's the terminology I want to use. For some people, the verdict is still out on B Fab, but I think after what we saw tonight with Maxine Dupree, we can all collectively go, yeah, what she showed us tonight, that's where the hell has that been? Like, you know, perfect timing, like took you long enough, right? Because especially when you think about a lot of the people that have been released, and not my words, but definitely it's coming from out of you all's mouths. This person was released, but this person is still on the payroll here. How does that make sense? Like, it doesn't quite compute. Don't really get that. And yeah, Maxine Dupree, good God Almighty, man, she is coming along. I gotta give her respect. I did not know that she was capable of what she was capable of. Now, look, credit where credit is due. Becky Lynch, you're only as good as your dance partner, as I always like to say. And that can be true, but what can also be true at the same time, you gotta make sure that you are carrying yourself as well, right? You gotta bring your best game and then some. And Maxine Dupree did do that. Now, I will say some elements of this match left me squeamish. I will say that. I jotted down just a couple of bullet points to help jog my memory. Particularly, I will say this. Maxine Dupree definitely coming along. Definitely coming along. I loved what I saw of her this week, but she's got a couple of things that she's got to work on going forward. Now, I don't know if this is really the fault of the bookers and how they laid this match out, and or Maxine not selling when it counted the most. I don't know. But one point during the match, Becky Lynch does this spinning back kick that basically lands on Maxine Dupree's right thigh area. And unfortunately, the way the camera angle is positioned, the camera angle, it's clear as day that Becky Lynch does not really hit Maxine in that thigh area. But you can see as Becky is doing that little spin kick to the thigh, you hear her and you see her clear as day doing the slap, the old man thigh slap. So, okay, all right, cool. But Maxine does not sell that spot whatsoever. That, right down to the point that I remember, like, immediately, it was like within a few seconds, I think Maxine Dupree did some type of a jumping knee to the face. She did something, and it was just with the same leg in question. So that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, okay? Another spot that I was really, really concerned about was, and it was a really scary, squeamish spot, there was a sudden power bomb drop that Maxine did to Becky. Now, what do I mean when I say a sudden power bomb drop? Well, definitely when you watch this, the way Maxine, like, that it was already communicated ahead of time that this spot was supposed to happen and everything. But what I didn't like about this particular drop power bomb, it wasn't one of those, okay, I'm going to grab you and I'm going to hoist you appropriately. I'm going to set you up and hey, get yourself in position. And as I'm dropping you, you can pretty much do what you need to do. It didn't come off like that by any stretch. Instead, it was just pretty much, okay, I got you in the power bomb position, drop. And I was very, very, very squeamish about that because the way Becky Lynch had landed, you're just going, damn, she really did not have time to really set herself up and everything, because you want to be falling on your back, per se. You want for all of that pressure to be absorbed in the upper back and the shoulders and everything. That's where you want it to go. And just the way it looked, it was just one of those, damn, did Becky have enough time to really prepare for that? And then the fact that her head just jerked back so hard and everything, I just felt very squeamish about that whole spot. That could have ended up being very, very bad. And I sincerely mean that. Go back and check it out. Play that. I think what we'll probably end up doing is in the next couple of weeks, stuff like what I'm talking about right now. I think what we'll end up doing is highlighting it and actually showing you guys what I'm talking about, blowing it up and all that. I think that'd be a nice little fun dynamic that we can add into the mix and everything. But yeah, that could have ended very tragically. Just very, shout out to referee Jessica Carr though. Jessica Carr being there and always being very attentive and right on cue. She was making sure that Becky was still in the mix and everything, and that's what's up. Love the finish to this match too. I love the fact that after these two girls were just going back and forth, skidding the cat, grabbing a handful of tights, and all the near fall finishes and everything. I love the fact that Becky took the action outside of the ring. She is pretty much having her way with Maxine over at the announcer's table, just wiping the floor with this girl. Meanwhile, the referee is just counting these women down. Becky's not thinking anything of it because she's pretty much going, look, I got this woman right where I need her to be. So ain't no reason for me to sweat. Next thing you know, while Becky is boosting and everything, playing up to the crowd, Maxine manages to slide her way into the ring right before the count of 10, and Becky Lynch gets counted out. So Maxine Dupree wins via countout. That was great. That was good shit right there. So yeah, you're looking at that. You can definitely now say, so wait a minute. The fact that Maxine Dupree, even if it was a count out, she pulled an upset here over Becky Lynch. Like what the hell, right? So that is good considering Becky Lynch is the current women's intercontinental champion and everything. So you would like to believe that the way the outlook is looking going forward, Maxine Dupree definitely could lay her claim to getting a shot there for the women's IC title. And you know what? That's all right with me, boys and girls. I'm definitely down with that. Definitely one of the finest, brightest spots of Monday Night Raw throughout this entire night. I now understand. I'm seeing finally. She's been coming along, but like this has been like since Maxine Dupree has been part of the WWE, more specifically since she's been part of the main roster. Dare I say, this was, as far as singles matches goes, this was her absolute best. I definitely say. Obviously Becky Lynch, the more experienced wrestler and everything, but really helping Maxine Dupree get her time to shine, really giving her that great rub off, man. That's what's up. That's what's up. So in other areas, can't sing enough praise. In other areas, Lyra Valkyria crossing paths with Bayley once again. Lyra wanted to know if maybe Bayley wants to tag along with her as Lyra gets ready for a one-on-one matchup against Roxanne Perez. One thing that was very interesting about this that I do want to highlight is Lyra Valkyria's entrance. Here on this show, we've given Lyra her flowers as a very solid wrestler. But connecting with the crowd, interacting with them and all that, she just non-existent, right? Just non-existent. Well, this week we really saw her playing hard. She was interacting hard with the fans, trying to get them all involved with her little woo chants and all that, her little bird calling, whatever you want to do it, whatever you want to call it, however you want to do it. We can do it if you wanna, right? Bayley right there too, just leading the way. I loved it. It was all a very nice touch seeing Lyra do that type of interaction. She played a little tiny bit up to the crowd throughout the match. She's coming along. Look, if you're checking out the show for a long time, you know my criticisms when it comes to Lyra. So to see that there is some type of progress here, right? And I've always been a firm believer. You show me a person that's making just the littlest effort of progress, then I'll show you a man that will have all the patience in the world, and we'll try to work with that person, right? As long as they're making an effort, I can work with that. So this was good. This was good for what it was worth. And shout out to Joe Tess and Wade Barrett. They're continuing to kill it on Monday Night Raw. Booker T and them over on SmackDown, loving it, loving what's going on with them over there. But I gotta give the silent award to Joe Tess, because as this match between Lyra and Perez was going about, we got a interesting graphic to set up another women's match that would come right after this one. Of course, I'm talking about Io Sky taking on Kairi Sane. And the way that pretty much had went about, Asuka was backstage with Kairi Sane. Asuka talking mad trash to Adam Pearce, talking about how she wants a match with Io Sky. She demanded it, and Adam Pearce is like, okay, look, if that's what'll make you feel good and everything, all right, whatever. You know, you got your match, sure. But like, you're supposed to be doing your thing at Crown Jewel this weekend. Like, I don't quite, and Asuka would have it no other way. Well, little did we know what she actually wanted was for Kairi Sane to basically be in that position. So, setting up poor Kairi not really wanting to do it, and Asuka just pimp slapping the hell out of Kairi yet again. So you were kind of left wondering, so is this match going to be official? Are we actually going to see this? Go back to what I just said in regards to Lyra and Roxanne. We get the graphic in the lower right hand corner letting us know Io and Kairi are going to be fighting tonight. And I loved how Joe Tessitore sold that, because he did this squeamish little squeal of delight. It was actually a really cool reaction. And you're like, wow, that's very uncharacteristic of a color commentator to do, while a match is underway. Like, normally you're used to hearing the dry read. Oh, also just announced for later tonight by General Manager Adam Pearce, like blah, 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 yakety smackety. You're used to hearing that, but the fact that Joe Tessitore was just, hey, I loved it. I love those little nuances. It just makes it seem more natural, more laid back. Need more of that, WWE. Good stuff right there. Roxanne Perez getting the W. Lot of chaos that was going on here in this one. Final moments of this matchup. Raquel got kicked down by Lyra. Roxanne hitting a tornado DDT on the floor. Pretty much ended up securing the victory with the pop rocks and everything. Nice little W here for Roxanne Perez. Obviously, the main gist of this story is Bayley, and which Bayley are we going to get this week? Well, even though we know that Bayley is, I guess the word we want to use is kind of unhinged or multi-layered, giftedly multi-layered. How about that? Okay, we'll use that little terminology. Post match, you couldn't help but wonder what kind of Bayley were we gonna get, because normally, if you either inadvertently hit Bayley or you knock her on her ass unintentionally, or hell, maybe you just do the damn thing on purpose. Bayley pulls Bill Bixby in the Incredible Hulk, and you just don't know which version you're gonna get and everything. But we saw a pissed off Bayley that said, "Yo, they can't get away with this crap. We need to teach them a lesson. Let's go beat their asses right now. Come on, let's go." Lyra wasn't really trying to go in that direction at first, but Bayley was like, "Nah, man, no, we need to kick their asses. Let's go." Sure enough, Lyra was digging right into that. They went and found the girls backstage, was beating the holy crap out of them. A bunch of officials had to break it up. We find out later on during the show that next week we're going to be seeing Lyra and Bayley in a tag match against Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. So Story continues. Will Bayley continue to hold on to her faculties? I mean, she's been doing pretty good so far. I don't know what she's been doing, but obviously it's been working. Let's talk about Kairi Sane taking on Io Sky. That was a nice little quiet silence of a matchup there. Like if you were really high and buzzed out there on Becky Lynch and Maxine Dupree, I would say this was probably the second, maybe you could say underrated gem of a match of the night, especially if you're into your Japanese wrestling and all of that. This was another one that was pretty good. Honestly, great effort by both women. Kairi Sane picking up the W. Just too short. It was too short, like just way shy of 10 minutes. Definitely, like, I think it might, I don't even think it was a 7 minute match, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even think it was a 7 minute match, but really good effort from both women. They've been working together for such a long time. You see that these two names, like, you expect nothing but good things to happen when they lock up, right? Memorable moment. Now, I won't say this was memorable, but the chemistry between these two definitely undeniable. Definitely undeniable. Post match, Asuka deciding to continue her attack on Io. Kairi getting into the mix as well. You're thinking that maybe Rhea Ripley was going to come out. No Rhea Ripley whatsoever. But we do know Rhea Ripley will definitely be there for Crown Jewel this weekend. That much we do know for certain. So that pretty much was it for all the women there. Getting their time in the sunshine and all that. Loved it. Let's talk about what was going on with some of the men for this week. Love the segment opener there between Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed pretty much out there all by himself. No Braun Breaker this week. Braun Breaker nowhere to be found. Thought that was kind of interesting that there was no Braun Breaker. But we find out as these guys ended up mixing it up physically and all that, we find out that these guys are going to be involved at Crown Jewel this weekend, not just in any old type of match, but they're going to be involved in a Australian street fight. Hey, I don't know what that all entails. Paul Heyman pretty much alluded to the fact that it was this Australian street fight that pretty much put Bronson Reed under WWE's radar in the first place. So, hey, I don't want to know. I don't want to research it. I don't. I could have done it right then and there when Paul Heyman was saying it in real time. No, just surprise me like everybody else when it comes time for the show, and then I will gladly go back and maybe look at some other stuff at the same time and all that. Later on, Roman crossed paths with the Usos, and Jay is happy to see him and everything. Roman pretty much tells him, "Yo, got a question for you. You know, you're a former world heavyweight champion. You're supposed to be one of the faces of the place, and yet CM Punk has talk time and you don't. Like, the hell is up with that?" That rubs Jay the wrong way. So he disappears, gets to go take care of his business or whatever. Meanwhile, Roman has some words with Jimmy, letting him know, hey, look, don't think I don't see and hear everything, because I do. Got a question for you. What is so wrong with your brother taking advice from me? Jimmy did not have any comeback whatsoever. Fast forward a little bit later on, this basically bleeds into CM Punk having his moment in the sun, pretty much trying to let the fans know what's next for them. Lets the fans know he appreciates them being in AJ Lee's corner during her return and everything, and how it was great of him teaming up with her, and he talked about how the year began with the Raw on Netflix premiere, him beating Seth Rollins, and he promises that before the year is out, he's going to be closing out the year for sure, beating Seth Rollins' ass and getting back that World Heavyweight Championship. This has LA Knight come on out there for some really good back and forth banter. I love that WWE has been continuing to build off of what's been happening with Knight and Punk and just the little breadcrumbs, but just everything is just adding up here. You know, it's a beautiful. It's not even well. You know, when you think about a marble cake, right? This is one of those cases though where the chemistry, just everything that's been happening with these two guys, it's more than just a marble cake. I think at this point is definitely a layer cake, right? Because they both got their own little thing going on, and yet they are of the same foundation, right? It's really interesting. It's really interesting when you stop and think about it. Um, Love that shit. Good stuff right there. Basically, LA Knight came out and was saying, "Look, man, you know, each time that you have locked up in some form with Seth Rollins, you've lost. Rollins has pretty much pinned your ass. Meantime, I'm undefeated against Seth Rollins. So, you know, it all goes back to the point of, you know, hey, as far as the last person that has Seth Rollins' number, it's been him. So if anybody deserves a shot at the heavyweight championship and finally get their time in the sun as a world heavyweight champion, LA Knight. Well, Jey Uso comes out there. Jey Uso says pretty much straight up, no, LA Knight, you got to get to the back of the line, homie, because I've yet to get my rematch. So by default, I should be getting that shot against Seth Rollins. So you see where this is going here. This is definitely giving you a all right, maybe we need to do some type of a triple threat match between these three men, winner of it. Maybe they get to take on Seth Rollins for the championship, right? Who knows? We do hear LA Knight talk mad trash to Jey Uso during all of this. And Knight says something along the lines of, you know what, you know, you should really just go back and focus on tag titles. Uh, you know, but then again, maybe that's not even in your repertoire because you actually suck at tag teaming, to which Jey Uso just super kicked the hell out of him. Uh, love that. Punk follows up and he says to Jay, "Hey, look, love you, Jay, but maybe Knight has a point here. Maybe you should, I don't know, dude. Like I like Jey Uso, but I don't like Little Roman." So Jay was about to hit him, but Jimmy got in between the two of them. The damn mosquito. I'm telling you guys, like, before this show is over, I think you guys are gonna see me just go wham, and it's gonna be like, I got it. We'll see. Jimmy intervenes and everything. Punk ends up pushing Jimmy out the way to get in a cheap shot. Very costly move as Jimmy ends up super kicking the hell out of Punk, laying him out flat on his back. Of course, this sets up our main event match for the evening. Usos taking on LA Knight and CM Punk. Usos coming across Roman one more time as, you know, Roman tells Jimmy straight up, because Jay was actually pretty hot. He was like, dude, he's like, I don't understand. Like, how the hell could you not have my back fully and let me do my thing when it came to dealing with those clowns out there. Like, whose side are you on? I love that we're continuing to see that friction there between the two brothers. I got a bold prediction to make, man. I really do. I've been paying attention more and more to Naomi's social media postings and all that. I know one of the latest posts she put out, she said, I'm just chilling on the wall, just waiting for my baby bump to show up. And it's like, yeah, she's got a little bit of a ways to go, doesn't she? But, I really would not be surprised if the long term storytelling is for Jay to ultimately just flip the living out on Jimmy Uso and just beat this dude up so bad, like just put him out of commission. Basically, it'll sync up just in time so that Jimmy can enjoy, a month or two being a daddy and all that with Naomi. Okay, being a parent and all that, right, and enjoying the fruits of the labor, basically, right. I think I think that's ultimately where we're gonna be going with this. So let me know what you guys are thinking about that, because I'm very curious if you're kind of getting that same vibe, or if you're thinking it might pivot in another direction. Roman to Jimmy, telling him straight up, you really want to help your brother. Sometimes you just gotta learn how to just get out his way. Maybe that's exactly what happened in that main event match, because when it came entrance time, my God, that was some serious hang time. So for those of you that don't know, so normally we see Jey Uso coming from high up the stands and he's with the fans and all that. So we get the music playing, and 5 seconds go by, 10 seconds go by, 15 seconds go by, 20 seconds go by. Finally, Wade Barrett and them, they're like, did this guy get lost? Because it's literally one of those, what the hell happened? I'm wondering if Jey Uso like had to puke in a trash can, or if maybe he was eating a hot dog and said, "Oh snap, oos, we gotta go," or I don't know what the hell was going on. Maybe they were on the wrong side of the arena. I don't know what the hell the case was, but it was pretty hilarious. It felt like an eternity, and let me tell you something from a media production standpoint, that is the worst thing you want to have happen. Especially, let me just give you guys a peek behind the curtain on this a little bit, okay? Like, this is why we have rehearsal, okay? Okay, we know that this is going to happen and this is going to happen, and we're playing around with the cameras and the different angles. Okay, so when this music plays, and okay, so we're going to cut to this, and then camera two, that's going to give you a great opportunity to set up a nice tight shot. Get in there as tight as you can, but make sure that we're able to see, right? So they're already playing around with this, right? The positioning, all of that. It's already on point. You got the music dialed up, all of that good stuff. The worst thing that can happen when you're now live and your show is in progress is what happened with Jey Uso. And even if it was a case where, oh, well, it was only 30 seconds, that 30 seconds from a production standpoint, it is eternity. Because let me tell you something, whoever is the technical director and or director, or floor manager, usually the technical director and or director, they're communicating with the floor manager. Hey, tell the talent they can go. Like, they got, the music's going, like, go ahead. They can start doing their thing. And I would suspect that, if I was just really, really stopping and thinking about it, I would say probably what likely happened, if I were to give an estimated guess, they probably were at the wrong entrance. And it was probably a case where they kind of had to two-step it, right? Try to hustle, get on over to where they needed to be. I would say that was likely the scenario. So we'll see, because I'm very curious. Jay's probably going to speak about it at some point and all that. By the way, I think I got an interesting name for LA Knight and CM Punk. If WWE were to continue to go with these guys as a tag team, Punk Knight. And you don't need to have two Ks in there, just Punk Knight. I think it would sell itself. It's gonna be a Punk Night, yeah. I can see the merch. I don't know if you guys can, but I can actually see the merch from that. I think WWE really stumbled upon something really cool there. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyway, team of CM Punk, LA Knight picking up the win. Final moments of this one: Jimmy sending Knight into Jay. Knight connects with the blunt force trauma on Jimmy. Jay ends up super kicking Knight. Punk rolls Jay up for the 2. Jay obviously kicked out. Jay later on sets up Punk for a spear. Knocks Knight off the apron. Punk sets him up for the GTS, Jay Uso. And right as Punk is just exhausted in the corner, he realizes, oh man, I can just go for the cover here, pick up the W. Knight tags himself in, goes for the cover arrogantly, and that's the match. Punk, Knight looking on at each other, trading a little bit of verbal jabs and all that. I love it. Too loud, sometimes obnoxious, charismatic. You want to talk about egos that you got there between LA Knight and CM Punk. It just makes for memorable moments. It really, really does. And, we've already seen these guys cross paths a couple of times, and just each time it has just been better and better. And we're still just essentially scratching the surface here. So I love also at the same time this turmoil that's being created and the friction that's happening between all three of these men. Now, obviously you got this friction between Punk and LA Knight. Can Jey Uso in this game of chess, can he play this the way it needs to be played, right? As far as cooler heads prevailing and seize on this opportunity, or is his own fragile ego going to get in the way? Is he gonna become his own worst enemy in the process, I should say, of becoming the world heavyweight champion again? Only time is gonna tell, man. But lot of drama that's going on here. Loved it on all fronts. From there, some other stuff here from tonight's Raw. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. We got another vignette following up from last week. That was actually a pretty good video package what they did tonight. Pretty much kind of rehashing, if you will. I was actually more invested in the conversation that Seth Rollins had with Paul Heyman tonight. That I found to be more intriguing, as Rollins asked Heyman to give it to him straight between the eyes. Yo, what would happen here if I lose at Crown Jewel, if I don't beat Cody Rhodes? And Heyman was like, you ain't got nothing to worry about. And Rollins had to really get Heyman up against the wall to stop telling him what he wants to hear and really give him the truth. And Heyman pretty much told him, look, you're going to have Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker question your vision, and your mission objective here in the WWE. You definitely are going to lose the locker room. Okay. It's amazing how all this, but the more and more that Heyman was talking, you're going, well, this actually kind of makes a lot of sense, especially at the very end when Heyman says to him, you will seal your fate and be looked upon as a secondary champion of another brand. And just when Heyman thought he pretty much was done, Rollins is like, okay, so you told me about all these other people and how pretty much they would look at me and all that, but what about you? Heyman said, well, it would definitely make me question why I chose you instead of Roman Reigns. So, a lot at play here. They've definitely made this match, despite the fact that this match isn't a case where it's championship versus championship. Instead, it's just for that Saudi title, that Saudi men's title. They've definitely really upped the ante here for this match with these guys. So I love it. I love it. Good stuff. I almost forgot. As far as CM Punk talking about what's next, we kind of documented all that. I also love how Punk mentioned, if you notice, I haven't been messing around with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins because I gave Cody Rhodes my word that I wouldn't interfere with his business. But he did let it be known at the same time before LA Knight and Jey Uso came out that he is Iron Rollins, pretty much. Yo, I got next. You know how that is back in the day. You used to go to the arcades and you want next, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, or whatever. You just put your quarter down there, the little lower screen. Put your quarter down. It's like I got next, and sometimes it would be 25 minutes later, and your ass was still waiting. Unfortunately. See, AJ Lee, Dragon Lee, and Penta teaming up and getting a win over Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dirty Dom. Nice little fun tag match that was. I actually had enjoyed that for what it was worth. Nice build there between Dominic Mysterio and just all the different challengers that are eyeing him, eyeing his championships and all that. Penta, I think, is going in a very interesting direction for you Penta fans out there because closing moments of this matchup, Rusev came out right as Dominic Mysterio was trying to get to his shady little antics, and he was trying to haul ass. Rusev manages to grab on him and everything, and Penta loaded up a nice super kick, but Dom manages to get out of the way, and Rusev eats that super kick instead. Penta's like, oh well, it happens, and continued on and everything. Rusev nowhere to be found after that. I guess his head just got knocked off and he magically disappeared or whatever. Like I don't know. But with Dominic Mysterio pretty much running off, that left JD all by himself to get the Styles Clash. Boom, 3 count. Team of AJ, Dragon, Penta picking up the dub and everything. But I love how Dominic Mysterio, he is just like this focal point right now, right? And you look at the opposite sides of a thread as Dom is in the middle, pretty much holding both ends together. But then you could take that same thread and if you do it just right, you can split that thread into other directions. But still, you got Dom right there at the center. It's just amazing how he's got all these different instant Acme feuds, rivalries. That's just in so many directions. I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Beyond that, just trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing from this week's Raw. I think we actually covered everything from tonight's show, believe it or not. Yeah, that pretty much was it. We didn't miss anything else. So really heavy on the women's action, but towards the end there, getting a nice 6-man tag match. I mean, really stop and think about that. We closed out with not one but 2 tag matches back to back. That's honestly, for what it was worth, I was okay with it. I actually was okay with it. Pretty decent addition of of Monday Night Raw. I mean, we got Crown Jewel coming up on Saturday, as we know, and WWE has been spending the last couple of weeks kind of building towards that and everything. Um, yeah, yeah. Honestly, we probably could have cut things back a little bit with some of the promo segments. We probably could have trimmed that a little bit more. They didn't need to go as long as it did, but still, overall, decent little show for this week. Let's see what you guys had to say about Raw. I'm going now to Twitter at the RCWR show, seeing how you guys have voted over there. Tie at 8%. Half of you said it was a level show. Other half of you said it was a B level show. 34% of you are in the D to F range, and right now, top dog, 50% of you saying it was a average show. You gave it a C. Appreciate you guys that voted via Twitter. Let's just see if I can poke my head on YouTube, get an early snapshot of some voting over there. YouTube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the post section. Yeah, still very, very early on YouTube. I'm not, at least at the time I'm looking, I'm not seeing anything right now. Our YouTube polling is so weird. I don't know what it is, but like the next day, that is when people usually will sound off. But that's Raw in the books. Hey, I want to give a shout out to DC's own legendary Mr. Radio personality himself, Donnie Simpson. Donnie Simpson is back with a new show. It is called the Donnie Simpson Show. Now I know some of you guys are like, wait, what are you talking about, Lee? Like he been had, just pump your brakes. So as many of you guys know, Donnie Simpson, for a handful of years, he was on Magic 102.3 out here in the nation's capital, but that had came to an end. What was that? I think it was actually last year or maybe the year before that. No, it was like last year that it pretty much came to an end and everything. As Donnie Simpson has pretty much just been chilling. I know he gave a interview to Victor Blackwell of CNN when Frankie Beverly from the band Maze, or Frankie Beverly and Maze, when Frankie Beverly had passed away. Donnie Simpson had gave a rare interview because he was actually best friends with Frankie Beverly and all that. But pretty much Donnie has been like radio silent. I've been keeping tabs on him on social media, and he was talking about how he had some things in the pipeline. I know over on Tubi TV, he has essentially brought back his video soul joint that he used to do back in the days. Nice little spin on it, but he's actually brought back a new version of the Donnie Simpson show that actually returned October 1st. Right now, you're able to watch the live production show on his YouTube channel, and then he basically is taking the audio from that and is making it available as a podcast. But it's really a live show. It's meant to be consumed like how you all usually watch me. You're seeing me in the flesh. The way Donnie pretty much does his show, it's really meant to consume, hey, there's Donnie, right? You really meant to consume it that way as opposed to audio. So, the first episode that he put out there, he is talking to hip hop icon Big Daddy Kane. So for those of you that appreciate your hip hop, there you go. It was actually pretty good. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. So definitely wanted to show him some love. Also, while we're talking about music and all that, I don't know if you all had heard about this, but Ike Turner Jr., the son of Ike Turner and Tina Turner, He passed away at the age of 67. Shout out to the good folks over at Urban Hollywood 411 because they were the first that I saw to report on Turner Jr.'s passing. Apparently, he passed away at the age of 67, just a couple of days shy after his 67th birthday. As far as what's been going on with him, basically he's been dealing with some really bad health in recent years. Apparently, he died from kidney failure. He also suffered from heart troubles as he had a stroke in September. So, very unfortunate to hear that. Yeah, that is it's crazy. It is crazy, man. He's just 67. That's pretty young, right? It is really, really young. And you're lucky, you're fortunate if you're able to experience 75 seasons, 75 years. You're lucky if you do it right, right? You're lucky if you can get 75. But I don't know, man. Not to get all, gloomy and all that. I'm not trying to go in that direction. Now, on a little bit of a lighter note, I do have more of a positive tip for you guys. Happy birthday to one of my amigos, one of my brothers in the podcasting world, Jason Solomon of Solomon Monster Sounds Off. Happy birthday to him. I saw his post saying he was eating on a shit ton of Chinese food and all that. So it's like, hey, that is a great way to celebrate. I'm thinking about how I want to do my birthday coming up in a couple of months. I already told the wife, I said, look, I just want to go to PA or New York, and I just want to be snacking on some damn White Castle. Like, I want to go to an actual White Castle, and I want to have me some sliders made right in front of me. Give me the fries. Give me the onion rings. Like, it's all I want, man. It's all I want. It's all I'm really asking for. Not asking too much. So I think we're going to try to see if we can make that happen. Also, on a really good note, shout out to Bret Hart's daughter, Jade. She apparently defeated breast cancer. That is a great thing to hear. It's nice to be hearing good stuff like this. It really, really is. And I wasn't even aware that this was going on with Bret Hart's daughter. But he had said here that, his daughter Jade Hart defeated breast cancer. Shared the news on social media, writing that he's immensely proud of her and called her a warrior. Said that Jade's strength reminds him of his own cancer battle, and thanked the medical staff and supporters, and encouraged followers to get regular checkups and mammograms, stressing early detection saves lives. And he's absolutely right. I keep telling people, all my friends and family, I keep saying to them, look, you're the only person that's going to be able to look out for yourself when it comes to your health. Nobody else is. Like, you think your employers are going to look out for you? Like, no, forget that. They're just whoosh, whoosh. They're just making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, job wise and everything. That's all that they care about. We all are just cogs in a machine at the end of the day. So I've always been a firm believer in, when it comes to your health and well-being, you definitely gotta stay on top of that. And I had talked about this in my sociology class recently, as we were talking about upstream, downstreams, and what all might go into a person not getting the care that they know they need. And one point that I had brought up was, well, look, if you're a man, there's that whole pride thing. There's that whole masculinity thing, because to admit that health wise there's something going on with you, there's something wrong, you're admitting vulnerability, and that vulnerability is a sign of weakness, and you can't come off looking weak, right? That's just some guys' ideology and all that, and it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But Bret Hart makes a very damn good point about early detection and all that is key. Look, I'm gonna be turning 45, and I was telling the wifey and the rest of the family about this. I said, look, I said I know damn well, besides diabetes running on both sides of my family, mainly my mother's. I also know that cancer is something that runs a lot on my mother's side of the family, and I'm not playing around. Like, once I turn 45, I'm gonna be doing my yearly checkups, making sure everything's good. Definitely going to be getting my prostate checked out, like all that. Like, you got to, because you don't need no funny ass surprises, that goes down and all that. My father-in-law, God bless his soul, but my father-in-law is a stubborn son of a bitch. I know a lot of you guys can relate to this. Some of you guys definitely got those in-laws in question. My father-in-law just recently got a stem he pretty much put around his heart and all that. He had like three blockages, not one, not two, three blockages, and they pretty much had to put, I think they call it a stent. They put that in him and everything, and the doctor is telling him, hey, look, you got to switch up on your dieting. You got to make sure you're eating better, healthier food, cleaner food. Hey, you got to give up on the smoking, because this dude smokes like at least 4 to 5 cigarettes a day. So basically, he's definitely buying at least 3 to 4 packs of cigarettes a week. Okay. Um, and then he's just, he's telling the doctors off. He's like, nah, I'm not doing that shit. I mean, I wish I was kidding, but no, he literally word for word. He's like, telling, I'm not doing that shit. Like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And doctor was blunt with him. He's like, okay, well, you keep doing what you're doing, and I'm gonna be seeing you again. We're gonna be replacing some more of of those valves there. We're gonna be doing some more stent work on you. But to know that he's been walking around with those blockages, and he was saying, hey, I felt fine. I feel great. Are we sure that this was needed? Hell yeah, it was needed, because you were walking around, you were a walking heart attack or worse, waiting to happen, like no bull. So pissing the wifey off big time right now, because she did some grocery shopping for him. And anybody that knows, when you have that type of procedure done, they tell you, hey, you can't do anything for a week. You got to take it easy, and then even at that, you can't really do, too much physical. Like, you don't want to put, strain on the heart, da, 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 da. So she does all his grocery shopping and everything. What does the motherfucker do? I'll tell you. She's getting ready to go see him the next day for something, and he goes, "Oh, I had to go to the store because I forgot. I needed some sodas and some chips, and she was pissed." And I told her straight up. I said, "Look here." I said, "If this dude's gonna be operating like this, you need to just go on ahead, let him do, let him worry about his own groceries. Let him buy his own groceries. No reason for you to be contributing, because that's a waste of your time, your resources, and all that. You could be doing other stuff. So just, so I tell you all this to say, there's a right and a wrong way to be on top of your health, uh, trying to look after a loved one and all that. Just kind of tying it back, putting a nice, pretty little ribbon on what Bret Hart had to say there and everything. You know, early detection, regular checkups, all that is definitely key. Bret Hart makes up very valid points, but what's also very important besides all of that, actually heeding what the medical advice that's given to you, actually heeding it and actually following through with that, because otherwise it's not doing you or anybody else any good, especially if it's just going to go in one ear and out the other. I see that for the September 27th edition of AEW Collision. Ooh, I mean, we talking about some rampage numbers. Good God Almighty. TNT. Apparently, it drew 248,000 viewers. Now, apparently, that September 27th show ranked number 9 on cable for the night. Remember, the broadcast was also simulcast on HBO Max, but the streaming numbers for that are not available right now. I'm very, very curious how that did, but I saw that and said, "Ooh." Meanwhile, NXT from last week, they did pretty solid. They did about 572,000 on the CW, and as we all know, they've got the NXT versus TNA showdown event that's going to feature not one but two Survivor Series style elimination matches. Looking forward to that edition. That should be a pretty good episode. Yeah, for you ECW fans out there, you Raven fans, you guys want to make sure you check this out. A new documentary titled Nevermore, The Raven Effect is going to be streaming on Amazon Prime Video starting November 18th. It's going to chronicle Raven's wrestling career across ECW, WWE, WCW, and TNA, as well as his personal struggles and impact on the industry. Raven himself confirmed this on social media. I'm looking forward to it. It's so funny because when I look at Raven more and more, I go, man, he's really looking more like Dave Mustaine of Megadeth there, especially like right now, even though his hair is cut. I'm talking about Raven. Speaking of Dave Mustaine, have you guys heard the new single that's out right now? He even got a new music video that's out of Megadeth, Tipping Point. God damn, that song sounds good. So for those of you that maybe are under a rock, you owe it to yourselves to go on Megadeth's YouTube channel and check out the official music video for Tipping Point. So Megadeth is going to be releasing one more album. It's a self-titled album. New music, all new music, new original music. Is going to be dropping next year. January 23rd, I believe, is the date. And from there, they're going to be going on a farewell tour, and that's going to be it. Dave Mustaine is calling it a day with Megadeth. So it kind of breaks my heart. I never thought I would hear, because I always expected for Megadeth to be forever until Dave Mustaine just dropped dead. Like, seriously. But you guys got to go. If you haven't heard it yet, you got to go listen to that damn song, Tipping Point, because, man, 64 years old, and Mustaine still sounds like he did from the 80s. It's like, dude, that is such a strong ass testament for everything that guy had went through. Of course, we all know about the bad injury with his hand, and somehow he was able to resume playing guitar. And then when he had the throat cancer scare, and he was able to overcome that. Just yeah, good stuff, man. Good, tell you, good ass song, great lyrics. I love it. Good stuff. From there, Bayley. You know, we were talking about her earlier. I thought this was interesting to pass along to you guys. Bayley apparently is going to be offering a free women's wrestling seminar. You heard me right. She's going to be holding a 3-day women's wrestling seminar from December 4th to December 6th in Orlando, Florida. The event is for experienced women wrestlers only. Spots are limited. Bayley says she will cover travel and accommodations for attendees. She described it as a passion project she's wanted to organize for some time. Now, keep in mind, as she's doing all of this, Bayley is still under WWE contract. And again, this women's wrestling seminar is for experienced women's wrestlers only. So when I hear that, and I also hear she's going to cover travel and accommodations for attendees, I can't help but go, so wait a minute. I'm thinking about some of my long-term favorites, man. I'm thinking about Casey Carlisle. I know Casey Carlisle has essentially, just totally disappeared. Once in the moon, she'll put some retro photos or a match out there, but she's mainly enjoying a civilian life. But when I hear this opportunity that Bayley is putting out there, I can't help but go, yo, Casey, come on, one more time. What do you say? I also think about, I think she's still with AEW. I kind of lost track, but what's going on there with Mercedes Martinez? That's another one where it's kind of like, but I'm also thinking about Lufisto. Lufisto, who I've been a fan of for many, many, many years. Is that something Lufisto might be interested in? Is that something she might take Bayley up on, right? There's definitely a decent amount of women. If I were to really sit down and make a who's list of who all I hope are gonna be at this wrestling seminar. Oh, talk about magical. For you gamers out there, let's talk WWE 2K25. So apparently there is going to be a upcoming DLC pack. It is the John Cena farewell pack. Looks like Brock Lesnar is being added to it. It's going to be releasing on October 16th. So this is the official Brock Lesnar returning to the roster via this patch. Now, as many of you guys know, and this is going to be patch 1.26. As many of you guys know, Brock Lesnar, his skin, his moveset, his entrance, it's all code-wise, it been in the game. They had to lock it, though, because of everything that was going on, with the Janelle Grant stuff and all that. So, but they're going to be bringing the beast back. And apparently his overall rating, for those of you that's curious, his overall rating is a 94. You heard me right. It's a 94. Apparently, the update is also going to address stability and performance improvements to the game. So have at it. For those of you that's curious too, by the way, as far as like the current skin of Brock Lesnar, pretty much what you're getting right now with him coming out with the black hat and he's got the nice beard going on. That's pretty much what you're getting. So pretty up to date, honestly. Kevin Nash put out a very interesting series of comments on his recent podcast. He talked about how WWE, ever since they did the merger with TKO Group Holdings, his royalty payments have dropped significantly. He revealed how he was chatting it up with X-Pac Sean Waltman recently, mentioning how they usually talk once a week or whatnot, a couple times a week. And they got on the subject of royalty checks. And as Nash stated to co-host Sean Oliver, hey, before the merger, I used to see a really good breakdown on what my royalty check was all about, where the money was coming from. So, for example, NWO women's t-shirts, I would see the amount that would come from that. men's NWO shirts. I would see the amount coming from that, and just it was a really good breakdown, definitive breakdown on where all the money was coming from. Now, since the merger, everything has just been grouped under one name. All right. So in this instance, NWO, and I like it's just so generic. But what really, really got him going was the fact that uh, the money is like he didn't put the exact number out there, but he said it's half of what he's normally been getting all this time. And even Sean Waltman was like, yeah, even mine was cut drastically. So Nash stated that things got weird. As far as he's concerned, things have gotten kind of weird since WWE and TKO, and he plans on forensic accounting and possible legal action. So the legal action, you guys get that, but what's probably throwing a lot of you guys off is when you hear that terminology, forensic accounting. Basically, in layman's terms, it's the use of accounting skills to investigate fraud or embezzlement and to analyze financial information for the use of to use in legal proceedings, basically. In layman's terms, like just off the top of my head, that's what it means in a nutshell. So, I'm very curious though, like for other legends, if they're kind of having those same kind of issues, right? And if they are having those same kind of issues, if they are willing to go on record and if they feel so comfortable enough, or are they so old school that they're actually going to just take care of it behind the scenes quietly. Makes you kind of wonder. I see The Rock's new movie, The Smashing Machine. Apparently, it's not doing that good in the box office. A lot of people are, you know, having a nice hearty little laugh over that and everything. Basically, $50 million budget. Right now, the box office takeaway is $6 million. I know a lot of people want to look at that and they want to be like, ha 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 ha. I can remember many instances where some movies, look, not for nothing, but I remember to a degree when Scarface, starring Al Pacino, I remember when that movie first came out, it did not do well. It was not received well, and it really, where it really started picking up, honestly, was when it eventually hit VHS and more people were able to access, and it was like, wait a minute, this is a fucking phenomenon. And from there it started to grow, not just a cult following, but it started to transcend all things pop culture and entertainment. Now, I can also think of movies on a much smaller scale that, hey, yeah, I mentioned it here before on the show. Al Pacino, Cruising with Paul Sorvino, great movie. That's a movie that was definitely years ahead of his time. Dealt with a very, at that time, a taboo topic, and everything. Definitely, when that movie came out, all the stuff that was not known about HIV, AIDS, the stigma that came with it, and all that. That movie, when it came out, that was one that did not do well at all in the box office. They didn't even break even. They did not even break even, but in the years since, that's a movie that has become a cult classic and all that. Now, from all the reviews that I have heard about The Rock's Smashing Machine, I've even had a couple of friends reach out to me and say, "Lee, you really got to go see the Smashing Machine, man. Like that shit is good." Um, it's kind of one of those things where I got to be honest with you. Whenever I was watching TV, I rarely saw any trailers, little TV spots. I rarely saw it for this movie. I really didn't see a social media blitz for promoting this movie, which is, very unfortunate. I think it'll really pick up over time. I think where it will really do good is once it becomes available for streaming platforms, Prime Video and all that. I think that's where, now, will it make its money back? I don't really know. I don't really know about that. But I think that what'll really help this movie out is the more people, kind of like what happened with Cruising, kind of like what happened with Scarface. I think once more and more people have accessibility to watching it, they'll go, oh, well, damn, right? One thing that, like, between social media and what my friends have told me about the film, The Rock, I mean, he has definitely crushed it with this movie. And look, not for nothing, but to its credit, it did pick up a couple of awards already. I know at the Savannah Film Festival on October 1st, it won a Maverick Director Award. And on top of that, you go back to the Venice International Film Festival. It got the silver. What is that? Is that the Silver Lion? Am I reading that right? But it definitely picked up a. Yeah, I'm reading that right. Picked up a Silver Lion award, and then it was nominated for a Golden Lion award. So I mean, it's doing something right. Look, when you think about the production company that is behind, which is basically A24, and if I'm not mistaken, A24, those are the guys that were behind. Weren't they behind the Von Erich movie as well? I'm just trying to think if they were behind. I don't want to give you guys the wrong information, but I kind of feel like A24 was behind it. Let me see something here. Iron Claw movie. Let me just see something here. Because if I'm right, yeah, I'm remembering it right. That's really baffling. That's really baffling that from the guys that brought us the Iron Claw movie, that this Shattering Machine movie, is doing as poorly as it's doing right now. Now, look, it's still early. It officially came out in theaters on October 3rd. So, sometimes word of mouth, it can be slow. Some movies can be off to a rocky start. I remember when it came, for example, to Guardians of the Galaxy. I remember that was off to a slow start, but word kept traveling and it traveled very fast. And next thing you know, poof, the damn film was a success. So I'll have to kind of wait and see how all that plays out. But I'm pulling for it. It looks good. You shouldn't need to determine if a movie is successful by how much it does in the theaters and if it's enough to break even. You shouldn't always look at those metrics, I personally feel. you should always go in the direction of, well, how does it look to you visually? Is it, are you hooked to it? Is it making its point? When you watch that trailer, be it a 20-second trailer or 30-second trailer, when you're watching it, does it do enough of a job to make you go, you know what? I want to watch that. I don't care how I watch it. I don't care if I got to go to the theater. I don't care if I got to maybe buy it on DVD or check it out on Prime or Netflix, but I want to watch that. As long as it's hitting one of those tickle little funny bones, that's what's up. That's what matters the most. I personally feel. The hell with the box office takeaway and all that, right? And not for nothing, I think it's really cool too to hear that The Rock reportedly earned like $4 million for this movie, as opposed to what he normally commands, which is like somewhere between 20 to $30 million. And basically, he gave part of his earnings for Emily Blunt and Mark Kerr. If that's true, that's badass. Seriously, that's really badass. Also, Rhea Ripley and Terrifier have teamed up. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's a new collaboration that's going on WWE Shop right now, where WWE have hooked up with the horror franchise Terrifier, and they've got some really cool crossover horror themed apparel and designs that ties into Rhea Ripley's persona and all that. So it's available right now on the WWE Shop site. So go check that out right now. All right, let's look at Crown Jewel. We're not going to go over predictions tonight. I think what we're going to definitely end up doing instead is I'm going to actually fire up the cam. I think if not Tuesday, definitely Wednesday, and I will offer predictions. Call that match style. So be connected to the YouTube channel. Look out for that. But as far as your Crown Jewel preview for Perth, Australia this Saturday, remember, everything is going to be starting here in the United States, East Coast, 8 a.m., 5 p.m. Pacific. Also, don't forget Monday Night Raw next Monday, October 13th. That's going to be coming on at 8 a.m. Eastern. So for those of you that's going to be around 8 a.m. Eastern, I will be live that Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll do our usual show. At least it'll be much earlier and all that. All right. Right now, we've got a total of 5 matches. We've got Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed, Australian street fight. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky teaming up to face the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, tag match. John Cena faces AJ Styles. Meanwhile, Stephanie Vaquer will be taking on Tiffany Stratton. It's a singles match for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Main event, singles match for the WWE Crown Jewel Championship as Cody Rhodes takes on Seth Rollins. That is how Crown Jewel Perth is going to be looking for this Saturday, October 11th at the RAC Arena in Perth, Western Australia. Shout out to our listeners out there in Australia. We definitely got our listeners out there in Australia. Some of you guys may be here. Damn, Lee, is there like any place that you could think of just off the top of your head where you don't have international listeners? No, it's interesting. We got like a wide range. If anything surprises me more, I'm surprised that we don't get more listens from the metropolitan area. Like, we get love in DC and Maryland, but we really don't get love from Virginia. I always thought that was kind of That was kind of interesting. I know, like, you guys were like, no, 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 internationally. Internationally, no, I don't see like every single that you could think of. Africa, Australia, trying to think. Sweden, Russia. We get them all. We get them all, believe it or not. Yeah, we get them all. Speaking of, we get them all. Before we get ready to wrap up, I definitely want to take this time out and I want to thank some of our sponsors because without them, shows like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. Also, so you guys know, we've been revamping the Patreon page, patreon.com/, the RCWR show. Once again, that's patreon.com/RCWR show. Do not put the THE in there. You won't get anything. Patreon.com/RCWR show. We've been revamping the Patreon page over there, so have at it. Introduce some new tiers, all that good stuff. We're brought to you in part by our good friends over at iwanttolearnsql.com. It is your hands-on gateway to mastering SQL. Well, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. If we're going to do this, let's make sure that we do this right when it comes to showing our sponsors some love and all that. Yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah, I like that. That's a lot better. Yeah, we're brought to you in part by our good friends over at iwanttolearnsql.com, your hands-on gateway for mastering SQL. Whether you're starting from scratch or upgrading your data skills, iwanttolearnsql.com. Put structured lessons, real-world exercises, and clear examples at your fingertips. From querying databases to building reports, they make learning SQL practical, approachable, and actually fun. If you're ready to level up your data game, visit iwanttolearnsql.com and start getting confident with SQL today. Your next pivot in tech begins with a solid query. So check them out today. iwanttolearnsql.com. And we are also brought to you in part by our good friends over at the IME music station. I love listening to these guys. Make sure you check them out. The IME iRadio station, your global soundtrack featuring the hottest indie artists and 90s to 2000s throwbacks mixed with today's top 40 hits. Think of it as a world tour for your ears, delivering crowd favorites and hidden gems from the US, Europe, and Canada. Tune in, vibe out, and discover your next favorite track. IME iRadio station, streaming 24/7. We love and appreciate both of these sponsors, proud sponsors of the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. So, on that note, we are at about the 90-minute mark. We did pretty good, relatively. I personally feel we did pretty good. Well-rounded show for you guys. Be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search the RCWR show. Next edition of the RCWR show, again, will be coming on this Saturday morning as soon as Crown Jewel Perth is in the books. I will be live with you all throughout social media. And then don't forget, Monday night, October 13th, I will be on at 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, 8 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you make that mental note and everything. And look, of course, push come to shove. Look, as long as you're following me throughout social media, you're going to get the notifications and all that good jazz. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed. Definitely hit up the YouTube channel. Show that the love that it needs, man. We are always uploading fun content. I had a blast finally uploading the Reese's Oreo cookies video. You guys seem to have enjoyed the hell out of that. I'm glad that you guys did. I had a blast making it. I'm sitting on more foodie reviews. I just got to get a moment to put those out there. Speaking of put those out there, please, for our listeners on demand and on the downloads that like the audio versions of the shows, I know we did not put out last week's show. Apologies for that. I have been very, very busy. I've had a lot of projects that's been due. A lot of it was due over the weekend. I had a history paper I had to type up, and I also had an exam I had to study for. And so all of that was keeping me a little bit preoccupied. I think now that all that is out the way, I want to say if not Tuesday night, definitely Wednesday afternoon, I will be sitting down and I'll be getting that show. It is mixed. Last week's show is mixed. It's ready to go. It's ready to be uploaded. I think what I'll end up doing is a 1-2 punch. I'll upload it and I'll upload this show both at the same time. So you guys will be able to enjoy it and all that. So just hang in there. Appreciate y'all's patience. Like, as always, push come to shove. At least you got the webcast version. That'll tie you over for a little bit and all that. All right. Get at me all throughout social media. Use the keywords, the RCWR show. And until next go round, my pretty babies, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Take care.